wire wheel. Let's see what I lost. I lost some stuff. That's okay though. Now, if you were to ask me what can actually be fixed on this table and what can't, to be honest with you, I have no idea. There's just too many parts to keep track of. Like at first, I was thinking the clutch didn't get fixed because there's no way you could really fix the clutch. You have to drill out the rivets, change out the friction surfaces, and if the spring assembly is a mess, then it's junk. And in the 2014, you you couldn't really do anything with that clutch, so I wasn't really surprised about that for what's involved on it. And to do the pressure plate, well, you have to change out the these are using pressure plates with diaphragm springs, so that has to be changed out. You can't use that. And then the surface for that plate has to be smoothed out if it's still any good to be smoothed out. If it's too warped, then that has to be changed. And if the casing's a little beat up, you probably use the casing. So basically, you're throwing everything out but the casing. That's what's going on. So I'm discovering in this game that certain things can be redone, refixed. Like brake pads, they may not be able to be fixed. It makes sense because these are actually held on to the steel by a highly specialized type of glue, I believe, and they're pressed on with great pressure so they can never move. But the shoes, they're riveted to to their support. So with them, they really depending on the shoes, like the older ones are riveted to the body. Now I've seen some on these newer ones where they are glued on there as well. But on the older ones, they'd be riveted because you'd see a bunch of dots going up and down that, usually like about two in a two across and three or four going down in certain areas. So this could be re-riveted with new friction material because there are two kinds of brake padding. One is organic, which you go through quicker, but the other one is more metallic based. It wears down the tries to wear down and smooths out the disc, and it also uses asbestos style type material, so therefore it's got a better heat absorption than what it needs to do. So so sometimes for the shoes you may come across them where they're not riveted, that they're glued on like that. And last I remember seeing, it was becoming more like this than riveted through. So it's hard to tell what the game will allow you to fix or not fix. So everything you see in the yellow cannot be fixed on that table because there's no way you're going to fix a spring. You start beating on that with a hammer, you'll take the spring right out of it, and it would be no good. You can't fix inners and outer tie rods because the joints that are used to make them pivot are pressed together. So once this goes bad, it's no good. Now this I could see being fixed because ball joints, the ball joint itself, where the joint here is fixed into the rod, these here fit into a completely different device, which is either pressed through here, mostly on the bottom ones, they're always pressed through, or like the top ones where they're fitted with screws and bolts that hold it up from the top, depending on which one you're doing on a real car. And plus, you're also looking at the bushings will be pressed in and pressed out. So I could see how this could be restored. Now the most of the stuff in here, like you're not going to do anything with this because just like the tie rod, what it uses is this one here is, well, it looks like to me it's using a joint style type system in it. The ones for like that older car where they attach down here, they're more like a bolt coming through with a spacer between it, with a washer on top of it, a washer on the bottom, and then a rubber bushing. And then on the other side of the arm would be the bushing, a washer, and a nut going up. And that's how it is, and it attaches from the lower control arm all the way up to the frame, and it's or the stabilizer bar which is the sway bar, and that's what it attaches to. But in this game, this is what they're using here. But because of the way I can see from the design, I can see it makes sense why you can't do that. You're not going to beat this out on a table. It is pressed together with hydraulic fluid inside of it, little small valves and everything. This thing goes, it's gone. That's all it comes down to it. And these, now you could say, well, I could put it on a brake machine and then clean it up. Well, this is true, but the game does not have this available to be repaired, because I was on the table just a few seconds ago, and as you see, they're still in the same condition. And the brake shoe and the brake drums, I don't think can be repaired. So really, what can be and what can't, I don't nitpick all that little stuff because I want to get this job done. So all I'm going to do is go on this table, and if it's there, left click to select the part, and right click and hit enter twice to get that part pounded out or fixed or whatever I got to do. So really, if you think about it, it's not really all that important on what can be fixed and what can't. You just roll through it and then start with the rest of the other work. Okay, if we take a look up here in the inventory, we'll see that I have replaced everything. Because everything here that's yellow has been replaced with new. So what could not be fixed on that bench had to be bought and replaced here, because this is we're restoring this car to 100%. And I'm pretty sure some are like going, well, wait a minute, I really don't see why you would need to. You got a lot of stuff there you didn't have to buy new. This may be true, but this part of this tutorial is replacing everything new condition. So anything that's obviously orange and red are not going to be used. But anything that's in normal wear and tear that could not be fixed or not able to be fixed is not going to be used. And the other stuff that was fixed or ended up broken or was bad has already been replaced. So that, and as you notice, because I did the front suspension separate from the rear, anytime I had to look for something for the front end, it's right here. So that was the main reason why I brought up that little tip, because it does help out. Okay, now we go to the engine part, in which we're going to have to drain this oil. Like this isn't too bad. See, the last time I said this thing was trashed out, I didn't pay attention to my corner, and it turned out it wasn't. See what I mean by being black? Not this. See, I overlooked it. This part here will also be black. The part that the pistons are sitting on the crank. This lobe here. And here, they're still showing up. But they also could be beaten up. So I'm trying to take a look here to see if I can find crankshaft bearing caps. Well, obviously I saw some of them that weren't too good looking. Yeah, okay, the crankshaft's still good for normal wear and tear. So yeah, right here where you see there's like a gray there, that will be all black. Because I've came across a few that were all black. So I did make a mistake on that one part. You just have to bear with me. I'm doing the best I can here. So you're draining the oil, so it's time to get this engine out of here.